All right. Today I'm doing door and window casings, moldings. I got 8 doors and windows to do. I figured on one of these I'll go ahead and show you how I like to do it. Definitely not the only way to do it. This is just the way that I prefer to do it. On the door side or the hinge side, I'll always take a piece of scrap first, just to make sure I know how much clearance I need um, for the hinges. In this case, this door jamb actually has, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a little lip so that the molding can butt up right up into it. It's just that sometimes, depending on the hinges protrude past this lip, and the last thing you want is for the moldings to touch the hinges, because what will end up happening is every time you open and close the door, you're going to hear a squeaking sound, and that's one of the hinge collars rubbing up against the molding. So in this case, we do have a nice little gap if I bring my molding right up until the little lip. Same thing over here. There's a little striker plate there at the bottom. Um, you can mess around with this afterwards. Some moldings, this is a square molding. Some moldings actually slide right behind it. This one, I'm just going to have to adjust it when I get down to here. So it's not a big deal, but that's the first things that I like to check when right before I'm about to measure my moldings. So what I will do is, let's see if we can get up here, but I will measure from the outside lip on this side to the outside lip on this side. If your door doesn't have a lip, then I'll measure the inside of the door and add either an eighth or 3/16 of an inch on both sides. The top piece, you have to add it on both sides. When you're measuring up and down, you're measuring from inside, then you just have to add it, the dimension one time, either an eighth or 3/16. So in this case, I'm measuring on the outside of the lip because I know that that's where I'm putting my molding. And let's say we have 32 and 9/16. Actually, since I'm here, I can do the top and bottom also. So I got 32 and 9/16, and then I'll measure from the bottom, from my floor. Make sure there's no debris on the floor because you want your molding nice and tight against the floor. And in this case, I'm measuring to the top of the lip here. So I have 81 inches on this side, and then we'll do this side. And here we have 80 and 15/16, so a 16 shorter. 80, 15/16. Okay. So first one that I like to cut, let me zoom out here. So we'll go over to the saw now. 32 9/16. All right. Set us up over here. All right. This one. All right. So we have our pieces. We will bring them. Now this next part, just I do it wherever I have open space on the floor because I like to assemble my casing before. All right. Okay. Unfortunately, for some reason, my camera stopped recording before I glued up and installed it, but that's the door. Whoops. that's the casing installed. So it wraps nicely all the way around. I'll show you how I glue it, which is the last step. That's what I was saying at the end of the last video, but it didn't record. So I pre-assemble everything, or I assemble everything before it goes onto the jam. Just it's much easier. Your joints, your 45s end up much tighter, or I find I find in that case, anyways. So I use it's super glue with an accelerator, so it bonds it in 5-10 seconds. So you put it on one side. I don't know if you can see it. You do that on one side, and then you hit this on the other side. You know, it's really quick. So I line up the top, bring it all together. You make sure it's flush. Hold it for 5 seconds. That side's done. We come over here. I'll put the glue on this side. Hit that. Again, I line up the top corner first. Bring it together. Make sure it's flush. Hold it together for 5 seconds. And that's done. So basically, now I can lift this whole thing together, put it on the door, line it up with the jam, hit it with your nailer, and you're done. So that is how I like to do my casings. Then you'll just have to obviously come afterwards, fill all the nail holes, and do a little finishing painting. So